You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network. Special edition Locked On Texas Tech, Big 12 Weekly. We wanted to take a stab at glancing across the conference landscape, but because there's so many things going on far and wide, Chris, that do impact, obviously, our Red Raiders, though maybe not quite Texas Tech-centric, and sometimes there just ain't enough rocks or enough hours in the day to get to all these things on a regular edition. So I'm going to try and do this a little bit more often, taking a look elsewhere among some of our conference peers. And an interesting week to do that because you've got some fascinating things going on elsewhere. We'll get to some of what is happening outside of the league office. But as far as the league office is concerned, Brett Yormark has been in the news again in the recent days, Chris. And we'll get to a couple of things as far as thoughts on growing college football playoff again, growing an NCAA basketball tournament that I thought it was initially against, but maybe I'm being persuaded into being for. But also this comment that has gotten some attention as Brett Yormark continues to attempt to walk the tightrope of saying everything is fine, we're in the door, we're at the table, but also there's a Grand Canyon-sized gap between us and the top two conferences. Not an easily juggling trick to pull off, but he's doing his best. And one of the comments, Chris, that got some attention here this week when being asked about, say, the breakaway two in the Big Ten and the SEC, and then the ACC and the Big 12, and how those come together to be known as the Power Four set of conferences, though unequal power obviously distributed among them. The thing that he said that has gotten some attention went like this, quote, "I think it's overstated. The chemistry and the culture among the four commissioners is extremely positive. I would venture to say it's the best it's ever been," end quote. Now, there is no word at this time as to whether or not Greg Sankey had a gun to his back as he was saying these things, but you can only wonder as to what some of the motivation is. And I suppose whether you believe it or not, this is the path that you've got to kind of take, and you've got to exhibit solidarity. You've got to exhibit strength and unity, I guess, in a way. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, Brett Yormark is obviously the new guy. I mean, the Big Ten commissioner is also somewhat new, but you're not in a position of power in that group. I think though that you want it to be as collegial as possible. However, how would Brett Yormark know if it's the best it's ever been? I mean, that's a short time frame. You know what I mean? I just got here like a year and a half ago. And again, that's probably what he's referencing. It's the best it's ever been since I've been around, which it hasn't been that long.
Well, the room on fire sort of whenever he walked in. So it's like, hey, the flames are put out. So this is great.
and I think that's I'm glad you brought that part up, because I think there was a time when it was a lot more contentious with this stuff, but see a lot of the issues that caused a lot of folks being unsettled have been settled now. And so, the realignment, the fact that there's just four of these commissioners now, not five, and all those things. And I think Brett Yormark, when it came to the football playoff revenue, I think that when they started talking about we're going to base this model on and formula on kind of what you've done over the last decade, Brett Yormark's like, okay, I get it. Like we haven't, Big 12 schools haven't really been involved, in a mass number and all those things. And so he was willing to, I think there was a little give and take. I think what, he gave on the, okay, we'll be less. We haven't earned that right. However, what you're going to give me is you're going to give me a live look in on this deal in a couple of 3 years. So we can kind of reassess. And if things have changed, we reserve the right to be able to tweak it and modify this formula and payment and expansion and structure and all those things. And so I think that Brett Yormark probably appreciates that everybody had a bit of an open mind and that there was a bit of give and take. Now, granted, if I'm Greg Sankey, I'm like, okay, well, I took all the money and then, we gave the Big 12 guy a live look in. We ain't looking in. We ain't changing nothing unless I want to change. So who knows where the truth lies in those potential theories right there. But I think that's why Brett Yormark feels like there's at least some some give and take there, and I think he probably appreciates that. And he knows he's not naive. He knows that he's got a newly formed league and not a lot of blue blood in his league and all that stuff. And this is why, if you're the Big 12, you got to go earn the right to to push people around or to have a bigger say so and all those things. But you're not quite there yet.
Yeah, and I think part of what we can get into next is thoughts as far as NCAA tournament or the college football playoff. These kind of go hand in hand with the give and take theme, because he did make, I think, a cogent argument as far as, hey, who's showing up in a football playoff and then taking a bigger bag away from that? And if that conversation is warranted, shouldn't it also be warranted from a basketball postseason perspective, which, at least for me as a fan, sort of put a new spin on it, I guess. So as he's talking also about these postseason events, some more thoughts on what is soon to come with those. Let's start on the football front. He said that the Big 12 Conference favors a 14-team playoff over the 12-team playoff starting in 2026. Wants to get around in with the 12-teamer, but wants to continue to pursue more access. He says, quote, "I'm for more access for student athletes for competing for championships. More is more. More is good," which is actually an argument that I've made for quite some time, and I'm shocked that it's made its way all the way up to the top of the Big 12 Conference. More is more. Listen in closely. Get your pencil out if you need to track it that way. Write it down. More is more and more is good. Now, that's on the football front. Let me give you this thought on the basketball front. He says, quote, "The tournament is one of the greatest spectacles in sports, captivates hardcore fans and casual fans for all the right reasons. You don't want to mess with something that is great, but if there's chances and opportunities to modify it a little bit to maybe provide more access and amplify the experience, we owe it to ourselves to do that. I'm a firm believer from time to time you have to put things through an audit." He says his league coaches favor an expanded NCAA basketball tournament. Take them in whatever order you like, but what did you make of the more is more and more is better argument?
Yeah, so he's he is somebody that, one, you don't ever have to wonder about what Brett Yormark is thinking, because he's going to tell you, okay? And he's pretty – it's not shrouded in secrecy at all. Like, I think Bob Bowlesby was very reserved, and it was limited in commentary on some of these issues. I think Dan Beebe was even more so that way. And I think, though, that Brett Yormark, you already – okay, so when we do the live look-in 27 or 28 for the college football deal, it's like I already know where Brett stands, because he told me back in April or May of 2024, grow it, expand it. I think Brett Yormark is just pro-expansion. I think he would like to potentially look at expanding his league again if it made sense. I think he wants to expand the college football playoff. I think he wants to expand the basketball tournament. I wish they were run the same by the same people, because they're not. It's kind of it's not same as. It's not an apple to an apple kind of deal. Although I get exactly what he's saying, because you're looking for access and you're looking for more money. And shocker, more coaches want a bigger tournament, because that means, well, hey, athletic director, I made it into the tournament. Yeah, dude, it's like 78 teams now. Everybody's making it, So, but that they want more, again, everybody wants to go to the tournament, and so heck yeah. But Brett Yormark's coming at it from more revenue, more units, the way that is currently set up, and all those things. And I get his argument, and he probably makes a valid one. I think because you go look at what the SEC is arguing for their football component. Look at what the Big 12 has done from a basketball standpoint over that stretch. Now, UConn is made some hay lately, but the Kansases, the Baylors, the Texas Tech game their participation in the championship game and all that. I mean, you've got this little stretch here to where you really have put your league at the forefront, and so he would like to be rewarded for that, And so, yeah, but he's just pro expansion. I think he's still trying to be the best version of himself and wants his league to do the same. His words.
Do you have a thought personally as a fan? Because I love it so much. I'm like, don't touch it. Don't tinker with it. If it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. But I'm also someone that from a football standpoint, has been a hypocrite as far as that argument. Now, it was broken, by the way. It was broken. It did need fixing from a football standpoint. But like I said, I've been beating the drum forever. Why would you not want more? You don't want to make more money? You don't want more access? You don't want more fan bases, more programs to be more interested further into the season? Again, from a football perspective, those arguments made sense to me. So now I'm kind of having to ask myself, why do I not feel the same way necessarily from a basketball perspective? How do you take it from a fan's approach?
There's a purist out there that's just like, don't water it down. This is an unbelievable sporting event, and don't you're going to dilute it, and then it loses its magic. I don't know whether that's true or not. That's what some would suggest to you. It's not broken. It's one of the best sporting events ever. What are we trying to fix it for? Because it doesn't need it. However, I mean, we've talked about this on previous shows. You're going to start revenue sharing. You're going to start. There's bills due, and so how do we earn more money, folks? By doing the same stuff. Let's play more games, or in this case, let's play more meaningful games. We can charge CBS and Turner Broadcasting a bit more if we give them more inventory. So follow the money, right? But I personally, if this is a 72 or even a 76 growth, I really think it's overstating it on how much you're diluting it or ruining it or whatever. I just don't. I don't buy that it just would ruin it or whatever. I think it's a few more games. Maybe it's a few more games in Dayton. I'd be curious to know how they would fit it in with the calendar on the way that the NCAA tournament would work, because it's pretty squeezed as it is. So I'm not exactly sure how that would work. But I'm always like a more sports is better guy anyways, right? Yeah. And so especially when they're more meaningful or you attach more things to it. But, I get like the people that were anti like play-in games and expanding the Major League Baseball playoffs. It's like, okay, well, making the playoffs in MLB is not even a big deal anymore, because now we're letting everybody in like the NFL does, But problem is, everybody's still watching those playoff games for baseball and the NFL, like the extra wild card round and all that stuff. So it's bracket creep. Look at the pro sports. All three pro sports have recently expanded their playoffs. Okay, NFL expanded extra wild card round. MLB, we now have play-in games and all those things. The NBA doing the play-in games too. Like, you could be the 10th seed and still have a chance to make it the playoffs, where it used to be you'd stopped at 1 through 8 in each conference. So it's bracket creep. This is what goes on. And shocker, Brett Yormark was associated closely with the NBA, and now would like to expand some things in the postseasons in college. Again, there's a direct correlation here, but it's also them greenbacks, man.
And what's been going on with the NHL bracket? I noticed you didn't include it.
Yeah. Hey, go Stars.
With the NHL playoff? She doesn't know it.
Yeah. Okay, it's still weird to me that they play like they're playing ice hockey in like Florida. Like Tampa Bay was playing Florida the other day. And I'm like, well, those are two hockey hotbeds, literally. Literally, yeah. I mean, it's just, yeah. But yeah, go Stars. Go Stars.
Okay. Now I've got something on the screen here as a third bullet point. It says Colorado internet beef, for those who are listening in via podcast, not watching on YouTube. I have a couple of choices for you, though, really. First, today's episode brought to you by Monopoly Go. And we've all been there, either as a player or a fan. It's halftime of the big game, and the scoreboard's not looking too good. You're feeling low. You're not sure you or your team are going to be able to pull out a win. And that's when you dig deep, lift your head up, and say to yourself, it's time to get back in the game and take as much of my friends' money as I possibly can. And you can do just that with the smash hit mobile game Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go lets you compete with your friends to get the most riches and the biggest empire. It's the Monopoly you love, but on your phone, anytime, with tons of new twists, including leaderboards to compare your progress to your buddies and tell them all about it whenever you're kicking their butts. You can also play on countless dynamic Monopoly boards, make your friends bankrupt by smashing their landmarks with a wrecking ball, or charge other players rent for your iconic properties. You can even work with your friends to crack open community chests and in tournaments to get extra rewards and climb the leaderboard. So get back out there, put on your game face, and download Monopoly Go today for free in the App Store or on Google Play. I mean, we could go Colorado internet beef. We could go BYU transfer portal, Danny Salee. We could go new threads in the Big 12 conference. We got like uniform rollouts. And I know here in West Texas, that's very interesting to us because we're hoping for a rollout of some kind here very soon. But should we just go to Deion? You want to talk BYU transfer portal, or should we just go to Deion?
I'd rather just go to prime time.
Hey, the same offer still stands, though, for Mr. Salee. No car or any money. That offer still stands in West Texas. I just want you to know that. Okay, if you hadn't been paying attention to what's happened with Colorado, you're probably just not on the internet, which good for you. You may have a real life. But as for the rest of us, we're paying attention to this. Now, the Athletic sort of stir in this pot because you might recall 53 scholarship players transferring out of Boulder, Colorado by the end of Colorado's spring last year, the first time around under Deion Sanders. The Athletic chose to pursue these individuals, help them tell their story. I heard somebody say this humanized them, which is just one of the lamest terms out there. They're humans. That's what's humanizing them. They don't need an article written about them. But either way, then the weeping and gnashing of teeth truly began. From Colorado message board aficionados or fans? No! From their head coach and starting quarterback and other players. You got a national reporter referred to by a derogatory term on the internet. You've got Shedeur Sanders putting down former teammates, talking about this one guy that transferred, and I don't even remember him, is what he said. And Ion is a quote, ION. He said, bro had to be very mid at best when talking about that player. Deion Sanders is popping off to folks out there that are clapping back at his son, saying in one tweet, he'll be a top 5 pick. Where your son going? LOL. I got time today. LOL. Again, these are quotes I'm reading here. So we've had, by the way, I saw a great one today before we came on the air, somebody calling Deion Sanders LeVar Ball with a headset, which is kind of an apt descriptor in a way. Chris, I got to tell you, if this is my program I'm following or rooting for, I am cringing possibly more than I've ever cringed in my life. And I sat through 66-6, where a redhead dancing in jean shorts was the highlight of the day as a Texas Tech fan. But this is major cringe. If this was the program I'm rooting for, it's not, however. So this is major car crash I can't look away from. I'm so much enjoying the circus in Boulder, Colorado. How are you enjoying it? Or maybe not.
I think it's one, sports are entertaining. Okay, so that's really what we, and we get happy, we get sad, we get frustrated, we get angry. I mean, there's all these emotions. It runs the gamut when it comes to sports. But at the end of the day, it's really just entertainment. So from an entertainment standpoint, okay, I think that Deion Sanders being at Colorado has been fascinating to me because it is. It's like it's just the content tree. You just it's just growing content all over that tree, and you just pick some off and all that. I'm bringing, I need to get rid of this luggage. I'm bringing my own Louis Vuitton and all from day one, and we're still we're still sitting here. I mean, is it the best look for him? I feel like because it's just like all of this is true. Has it been great for college football? Great for the Big 12? Great for Colorado? Yeah. Is this the most hype I've ever seen about a coach and a program that went 4-8? Yeah.
Yeah.
Could they be terrible again? Yeah. Could his kid be picked in the top 5 and is a stud? Yeah. Is he talking out of both sides of his mouth on, like a lot of Bible verses, a lot of Christian whatever, and then you go on there and you besmirch some young man that was like, dang man, he just was real mean to me or didn't give me a chance or whatever. I mean, so it's just all over the dang place. He's obviously very loyal to his own children. Okay, so that much we've established. Kudos there. It's fascinating content because it's not dull ever. And you're right. A lot of people are not going to tell the truth here, but a lot of people do go to the TV or the NASCAR race, and it's like, I'm just here for the wreck, man. I just want to see, I'm going to watch them turn left a bunch, but then it's like really going to get fascinating if there's a wreck, and then if somebody gets out of the car and punches the guy that drove down that cut him off,
Right.
whatever. I mean, that's what we're here for. Little wrestling aspect to it. And so I think a lot of people are just like, they cannot look away. And so, but yeah, this is like got dropped in everybody's lap here in late April, early May, man. And I mean, so did I pay attention? Sure. Would this how I would run my program? No, I would say a lot less. If I went 4-8, I'd be very much under the radar, but that's not who Deion Sanders is. And that's not who Colorado hired. And in some ways it's kind of cringy, but this is what he's going to do. And it's not going to change. So I don't know. I just, I saw it written. It's like, man, he makes Lane Kiffin look like a saint, which is damn near impossible, whatever. So, but those two guys are wildly entertaining on the medium known as X or Twitter or whatever, So
Right.
Anyway.
And shout out to our Locked On partner on Locked On Buffs. I'm sure he's having a great time kicking this out on every episode.
No doubt.
So, maybe check out that.
He struck gold there. That is,
right.
yeah.
All right, man. Appreciate you guys joining us for some bonus time on a Locked On Texas Tech Big 12 Weekly edition of the program. Hope you have a tremendous rest of your weekend. Chris, thank you again for a little bonus time, man, and we'll see you on Monday.
Keep the hope alive, people. Appreciate the time. We will talk to you very, very soon. Appreciate the subscribes and the likes and whatever, and the commentary, and I appreciate my man Cowan too. So.
Yes, sir. We'll be back for the next round. Hope to see you then on Locked On Texas Tech.